the chemistry of the water, right? What is
I don't think that they'll be involved in this, but it's not going to be
And I think that's the day and age we live in. I'm not knocking your job. Everything out of database. It's like if we meet this threshold, it's been in real life in 5 years. What does that change look like?
Yeah.
Just other than a spreadsheet or supposed level.
And they'll look at the size of the type of system and the size of the system, and then when the permit's finished, that'll be the maximum contaminants that they can put in there. So they'll say, this is what you got, this is all you can send. Okay. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get okay. Discuss and consider option on ordinance 22-488 establishing liability for the damage of city streets and right-of-ways during construction of residential and commercial properties.
Mayor and Council, this is a requested item we brought back this month for to have teeth for the road damage anywhere in the city. We have to have an ordinance to provide us the teeth to do this, and that's what this ordinance is for. It basically allows us to have an ordinance that requires the road be put back into the condition it is when you get there or better. And that's it in a nutshell. But we have to have an ordinance to provide us the teeth to do that.
There's no discussion on it.
And is this in from all the new construction, or is this going back to the Matula? Hey, we dug up the wrong road.
Actually, I hate to say it, it's from
This
the adoption point forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we have another incident,
But if we have another incident,
it's
yes.
covered in our ordinance.
Yes.
Fair enough.
I was gonna say that's a good thought. I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah.
So from here on, it covers us for that also.
The bottom says the effective.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-488 establishing liability for the damage of city streets and right-of-ways during construction of residential and commercial properties.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Brown. Do we have a second? Melissa Strawn seconds. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Rory Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, let the record reflect that the motion is carried unanimously.
I have a question real quick. I was just reading this over again. It's right-of-ways during construction of residential and commercial properties. So if street repair is not included in that, right? That is a right-of-way. Yeah, but during
Like if we have
construction of residential or commercial properties. So if somebody is just working on the street and they accidentally chip along the street, that's not a construction of residential or commercial property.
It's street and right.
That's,
Streets and right of ways.
No, the construction, I give it to that last little
During
sentence, during the
construction.
construction.
It's not during construction of a residential.
you're saying if we hire somebody to fix
But
the
it-
street and they mess it up, can we hold them liable?
Under
But that's
this
a whole
ordinance,
separate.
you
But that's a
whole
different
separate
issue completely. That's a
The
contract
issue
issue.
is destruction of right of ways and streets and construction of residential and commercial, not
Yeah,
under common
it
charge.
was just to the point of
Comparison,
Councilman Escalante, so Matula, right?
Oh, no,
This
that's-
wouldn't cover that.
No, that wasn't,
Okay, problem.
that wasn't the direction that
Gotcha.
we were given.
No problem. It's just he had asked the question and then it
Yeah.
kind of
Thanks,
sparked
Mike.
me and then I was like, okay, but that's not. a
So we're gonna amend this
construction
new ordinance.
Yeah.
next month.
Bring it bact next month and make it better.
Okay, item E, discuss and consider adoption of ordinance number 22-489, amending Appendix C, fee schedule.
Mayor Council, this is also part and parcel to this ordinance. What happens is when we pull the permit for the construction site where we're at, not only do they have to repair the road, but it also costs manpower and time here to pull the permit, reinstate the permit, and back and forth. So we're also asking for on the fee schedule to, allow us to charge a permit reinstatement fee of $100 per each occurrence. So if we have a contractor or builder or somebody who repeatedly does this over and over again, not only will they be repairing the road, they're gonna pay for our time to pull the permit, reinstate the permit as well.
Or even if, I frequently been going out to Oakwood and seeing muddy roads, if I have to go out there and they don't clean it, and I do a stop work order, even if there's no damage, they just hadn't cleaned it yet, then it gives them a little incentive to not do it again, if they now have to get their permit reinstated with a fee, and it takes time for staff to go back out there and make sure they clean it up.
Meeting again.
So this says for all permits.
It's anything, so we've had people pour driveways with no inspections done, without their rebar being inspected, so it really helps us all together. If somebody violates the ordinance by acting, pulling a permit but not getting the proper inspections or letting us know, then we can do a stop work order, and they would have to pay a fee to get their permit back. So it kinda helps us in more ways than just the road issue, because we've had other issues where we've had to do stop work orders on other things around the city.
It's definitely, you can mark this in a revenue recovery.
It takes staff time, because I personally have to drive out there and check it to make sure, because our permitting is not, oh, there's a new one, I had to start a new one.
Oh, okay.
Plus for the gas prices.
But yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
To get us out there and back.
Any more questions or motions?
I make a motion to approve the adoption of ordinance number 22-489, amending the appendix C fee schedule of the code of ordinances to include a reinstatement fee for all permits revoked due to stop work orders.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Brown. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a second by Councilmember Escalante. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that that the motion is carried unanimous. All right, discuss and consider directing.
So, council, our contract with Waste Connection is up as of August 31st of this year. Council extended that for a period of 1 year in 21. So we have to submit, per our contract, we have to submit to Waste Connections in writing our intent to either bid or to extend the contract. So I need,
July the 1st, right?
yes, I have to have it submitted by July 1st. So I need council's direction, just kind of on how we wish to proceed. Do we want the service to go back out for bid, or do we want to keep the status quo and stay with the contract we're with? There's a lot of things to consider. One of the main things is I have talked to Waste Connections, and they said if it's bid, the price is going to go up. So if you can extend the current contract, they have more reasoning to extend under the same price structure. But if we rebid, they assume that the price is going to go up. But we've also had interest from other contractors, specifically Amira Waste. I don't know much about them. I do know that the city of Freeport has converted to that contractor recently, and they say good things about them. But historically, we haven't had a good track record with bidding contractors when it comes to solid waste services. So if we put it out to bid and nobody else does bid, we have a price increase in the contractor that can pretty much nail their own price. But we could put it out to bid and get a secondary bid for somebody like Amira Waste, which on average, from what I understand, has dropped per account cost about $5 in Freeport.
But this is a recent change, right? With Freeport, it's a recent change.
It's recent, yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
reason
within
I
the
say,
past couple months.
the reason I say that is because it's been my experience, and a lot of times with companies coming in that's gonna bid on a job, they will do a great job and go out of the way for the first year. Then the next thing you know, you start noticing issues start arising or things get slower.
Something for council to consider.
Yeah.
You know, we have not had, I want to say from an operational standpoint, I don't believe we've had bad luck with Waste Connections. I think they, for the most part, have been a pretty solid service. We have our hiccups every now and again, but we seem to get them corrected. But it is time to make that decision, and I'd like to know which way council might proceed.
I could kind of shed a little bit of light to it, being in the waste industry and trash, and I'm a trashy guy when it comes to waste. So, AmeriWaste, great company, Freeport, they moved to them. Inherently, that they're based out of Alvin. So, Waste Connections is right down the road. So you have that service issue. Freeport's already experiencing service issues coming all the way from Alvin to Freeport. Inherently, when they took over in Freeport, I looked at their rates, being in the waste industry as well, and roll-off boxes. Their commercial side went up tremendously. Roll-off boxes, what they were paying locally, and then they really stick with their franchise agreement, where everybody in the Freeport area had to have AmeriWaste cans. It was city contract, and they were going to enforce it legally by all means. Well, now those businesses, now we're stuck with a higher rate of disposing of their waste. That's a big concern, and Missouri County's in this bubble. I mean, it sucks. We have Waste Connections, that's it. We used to have Waste Management years ago. They pulled out. They were right here on 288B. They pulled out. They were servicing down here every 1 or 2 cans. They were driving all the way from Pasadena to service a couple of front load cans. Well, effective last month, they pulled everything out. You will no longer see a Waste Management can anywhere in Brazoria County. So now Waste Connections picked that up. I picked some up. Everybody kind of picks some up from them. But I see the risk with AmeriWaste being a smaller company. I think we should look and ask them where are they disposing of this household trash? Are they going to Waste Connections? Because if they go to Waste Connections Seabreeze, which is the closest landfill, Seabreeze is going to jack their rates up, which then
they're going down.
And then we're going to get that inherent cost. So just making sure the disposal cost is kind of locked in. But they are a smaller outfit. We are used to in the city of Richwood, we have an automated system where the guy comes, it's just a driver and he grabs a can and dumps. There's no operation, and that's what Freeport used to have. Now they have rear loaders, so they have old school laborers on the back driving cans, throwing it in there. So I think initially you might see a cost savings, like the mayor said. They're going to start off and sell you this pretty picture, but then their costs are going to go up, and our landfill is right next door, which the owners of my company have been advocating to open up a new landfill because we all pay a lot higher rates because of this one landfill that we have. But it is kind of a gamble checking out the AmeriWaste prices. But I would just recommend we look at the commercial and industrial type boxes as well, because their rates in Freeport were extremely high. And I know Waste Connections implemented their exclusivity and franchise agreement in Richwood as well. And I've had customers, I used to service McCoy's, I had a box there for years, and McCoy's was like, hey man, we gotta get your box out, we gotta go with Waste Connections, and they call me all the time. I wish I could have y'all, I'm paying more money, and it's always full, because they're 2 weeks behind. So, just food for thought.
Yeah, and that one of the things that, it's always good to watch. It's like buying a car. You never buy the brand new design the first year, or at least ways I would, if I could even afford a car now. But my thought would be we could look and see what they do in Freeport over the next year. And my thought would be stay with what we've got, because we know them right now, and we've been able to work with them. Yeah, they're the only game in town when it comes to the landfill. But based on what Rory's saying with the commercial roll-offs and everything, if that's a big jump, then that's that's a flag for me.
Well, I have we have a little bit of time. I put on here a recommended motion to extend the contract for 2 years. If council sees it different, we wanna table this to see what the implications are. If it's gonna hold the same price point, what's our minimum extension?
Yeah. It's like the price of everything's going up, right? If we wait 3 months to make this decision, can we extend out the contract terms next week if we so decided to do that, or do we have to wait until the end of the contract to negotiate this?
No, I think we just negotiate terms as in
Are they
different
gonna,
services, or
if
you?
we say, hey, we wanna continue to use y'all's service, are they going to say, hey, prices are going up 10%, or?
Well, I can't speak for any nominal increases due to fuel or anything like that.
Yeah, but I'm
But
assuming
that should be the increases that we see based on those items, not an overall contractual increase from what I get from Waste Connections. If we extend out,
If we extend that.
at least,
But
yeah.
if we go back out for bid,
It gives you a
They-
lot.
They're
It's
telling
gonna
me
be a
it's
lot
a
more.
certainty.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
what they're saying.
Just keep in mind the bid process, while we do have to let them know in July, we need to have somebody, if we do decide to bid this out, we need to have another contract lined up. So I
Yes.
do need at least like a month and a half
There's some overlap.
before July to
There
do
you
the
go.
bid. It takes like a month and a half, plus getting it on the agenda to get approved by council.
And just as a city, I mean, as we grow and we're finally getting back on budget and we're good now. And I see it growing and getting better and better. You have cities like Clute that do their own trash. That's something that, we could, a 5-10 year goal down the road. Clute does their own trash. They save a lot of money, but is it a headache? Yes. Like Jackson does their own trash. Other cities and municipalities subcontract it out. But there's always that possibility as we grow and get more in the green to see if we can do our own.
Which say, Cliff, you wanna be a garbage guy?
Absolutely.
It's a recession-proof industry.
Yes, it is.
Hey, if
I've
they-
been there, done that.
If
That's
they
why I'm
had
in.
that one pickup truck, that they use now, if we had one of them, I'd put my hand up to drive that, cause that's all that guy does, he don't even get out,
We
get
don't have
out.
drivers, we need the
Yeah.
pickers.
When I was
But-
6, I wanted to be the
Everybody
guy.
wants to
Yeah.
drive it.
I've actually driven a garbage truck once when I was working with Clute for a period, for one day, but,
So does council have any direction for me on this right now?
I'd lean towards renewing.
yeah, I would lean toward renewing too,
And table it until, to get some more details on the
Right.
extension?
Yeah, details, and kind of see how AmeriWaste pans out after their first year, there, whether they're gonna fall on their face or.
What's our term
Are those
with them
2
right
years
now,
long?
or is it a 1 year?
but 2
2
years,
No,
we'd have to go.
we're on the tail end of 1 year. We
Okay.
extended it for 1 year in 21. So our contractual, the contract actually states if you extend it, it's for 2 years.
Yeah.
But I confirmed, because I swore that, the operations manager at the time told me 1, and the new operations manager did confirm that it is August 31st of this year.
Yeah.
What's our annual spend with them, about $200,000-300,000?
Our annual cost, I don't know well enough for you to say. I would have to look it up and get the number to you.
So at this point, if somebody wants to motion to just
Table
renew,
it.
we can. If
Or
somebody wants to
yeah,
motion to
or
table,
renew
we can. We just need somebody to.
Yeah,
I'd make the motion to renew the, contract for solid waste services.
with Waste Connections. Okay. We have a motion made by Councilmember Brown. Do we have a second?
1 year, right?
1 year or 2?
Oh, he said in the things to.
2,
I would
yeah,
recommend to
Yeah.
ensure that we get the same price point.
right,
One, I don't know if one will do that,
right.
and that's just my good feeling.
So.
Okay,
can
do
I
we have a
res- Can I
second?
rescind my motion?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead, Mark.
Okay. Maybe that's some more discussion that we need to have is maybe it should be tabled, to discuss that. Do we have to have 2 years to maintain the same terms, or will they do a 2-year contract? Because obviously we are of the opinion that, we don't wanna take an action with AmeriWaste without a proven track record, right? So So we're gonna renew, it's just how long?
Are there any other ones in our area? Or is that the only two?
There's a small outfit out of Angleton, but
Even though for public.
Yeah, we kept putting this out for bid and we only get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you talk to them, will you be able to get kind of an idea of what our rates will be? I mean, will they be able to pretty much confirm all that, or do you have to sign a contract first and then?
I think I could probably have the conversation and see if we can at least hold this price point. And, you know, would a 2-year extension do that? And we're show too many cards
Yes.
and have them say, oh, well, they're gonna, you know, let's push it 3 or 4 years. I don't wanna get into that.
So this request is, because we're still in the current renewal agreement with the current contract we have.
Mhm.
So this states that it will automatically extend for 2 one-year periods unless we notify them 90 days prior. So should we decide not to notify them, we will get 1 year. We've already had one renewal, right? So we have one
we have
left,
the last
1
one,
year.
Renew on August 31st.
Yeah.
So if we don't tell them anything, we'll get
Yes,
one more
we
year.
can
Okay.
Table it and get more information.
Yeah.
Even if we did nothing,
Right.
it renews for 1 year.
Right.
Right.
And at that point, we will rebid in a year,
In a year,
correct?
Unless we choose to extend it. We have the
Well,
option
this
to
agreement
extend
just says for 2 one-year periods.
This will be the last year on this agreement.
Right.
Alright, so.
Okay.
Come back
So
with
I make a
information.
motion to table agenda item F for next month's meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to table by Mark Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, or a second by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Councilmember Mike Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Melissa Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Roy Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Mark Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion is carried to table until next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's see, that was F. We need to go to G. Discuss and consider options regarding project revision for American Rescue Plan Act grant. Clifton.
So council, we've been submitted the cost opinions for the full project scope that we submitted to Strand, encompassing generators at water and wastewater sites around the town, and also the improvement of the south water plant, pumps, motors, and piping. Hopefully I've included enough documentation, it wasn't confusing, but, we were way over budget with our cost opinions. So we began to reduce, the scope, and according to, I guess, mine and Eric's input, we think we've, with the scope, including generators at well number 5 and the service center and, the south water plant as well, we still believe achieve the original goal, which is redundancy within our water infrastructure and wastewater infrastructure. It's just not as much done as we would like to have done. Based on this, we had a few issues. We had to submit to GLO cost opinions that did not exceed what we were budgeted with this grant, which I think was $988,000 and some change. So the cost opinions did not include grant admin services, which is a fixed rate. So with the job scope that we have outlined right now, we're over budget by about $35,000, inclusive of grant admin services and what Strand is requesting for engineering services. So we would, with the way it sits now, we would have to have a supplemental task order for the city to cover the cost of the remainder of the engineering services in the amount of about $35,000. If we don't take that route, we get rid of another generator.
So we're looking, in summary, what we try to do is we're knocking off one huge project off of our capital improvement plan, which is the rehab of the South Water Plant, which is a big expenditure. But one of the key components of the ARPA funds was redundancy. And although the water redundancy on the South Water Plant is achieved by doing this, that is a bulk majority big project, and we don't want to lose that. So fund that. We also don't want to lose the here and now, which is well number 5 and the service center. So basically, to shorten that, we're going to lose about $100,000 of grant money. There's no way to redo this bid to capture that. So we can spend the 35 and gain the 100, or not spend the 35 and lose 100. There's just no way to parse that out to spend the entire fund and get redundancy out of that. We've looked at it every which way we can. We do have this residual funds are available, and staff suggests we do this. I don't want to miss out on the money, but that's our suggestion. 20% increase in 4 months, did we say? 4 months from the original cost estimate.
As far as the labor,
Yeah.
that he was talking about his email, yes.
So there's your adjustments, that we're seeing. This was all under budget, and then, 90, 100, at 130 days, it blew up 20%, and it's going up more.
And one of the reasons, council, we chose this, we do have standby generators that are big enough to run lift stations. We don't have standby generators that we can move in tow that are big enough to run wells. So one of our biggest scares was in Winter Storm Uri, when everything went down, and the redundancy of backup power for water plants that are hooked into our existing SCADA system were key. That we would try our best to stay in water and not lose that. The service center includes several things, being the main SCADA panel, a single lift station, an undersized lift station, a fire department repeater, the service center itself. There's a lot of things that have to do with the service center, so we thought that redundancy was warranted as well.
So just a question, and maybe it's foolish, but we're talking about spending 35,000 on top of this. Is if we have Scope Creek and the prices go up even more, and then y'all are gonna have to come back to us for
We'd be on
more money, right?
we'd be on the hook for everything past what we're allotted.
So we're gonna spend 35 with the potential of spending another 10% more, right? 'Cause once we started, we gotta get it.
Yeah, it's right. You're right, and there's nothing I can say to that. I can say that with the generators, we gain efficiency because your engineering is going to be the same whether it's 1 or 2. It's basically just bidding.
But if we don't spend it, we're gonna lose.
Yeah, we
part
gotta-
of our.
We're losing 100,000.
That's right.
You have to.
Well, we have a 100,000 buffer, right? If we do that, if not, then we're gonna have to eat that 100,000.
My suggestion is go with the project as is. Do the South Water Plant first, which is just the opposite of what I wanted to do. That's your big project. When we get near project completion down there, we'll know what our costs are. I don't see the generators going 400% higher. Where they go up, yes, but you're talking local labor, engineering's already done. Save your smaller project for the end, and that's your buffer. If we can't continue down that road, then stop and pull that. But that South Water Plant is huge, because that is,
It's a big bite.
it's a big bite that we're not gonna have to fund, so on and so forth. So that's just a suggestion that I think.
Are we allowed to do that with the grant money?
Sure, if you don't have the money to spend it, you can't spend it.
Okay. I just didn't know if they said, all right, we're gonna need this money, you have to run it to completion.
We're sitting here having the same discussion that 3,500 other cities across the state of Texas are having right now. The projects are crazy.
Yeah.
And there's issues all over the place. But we had asked, originally I had asked, occasionally, cities will apply for these funds and they'll back out at the last minute. And there'll be a little pool of money left over. And I asked, is there any way we can tap into that and maybe expand because these projects are pretty locked tight, there's not a lot of wiggle room in these projects, and nope, that's the money, and that's what you get. So we tried every way to manipulate it, but my suggestion is go with the big project, find out where we're at nearing completion of that, and then move on with the smaller project, and then you can cut back.
We just know that we don't have to, we can not do it if we choose to do so. Right?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I can't make you spend money you don't have.
Yeah, but if they said, hey, this is what your plan was, this is a project, you gotta come up with extra funds to cover it, I just didn't know that we were locked into it.
So you're basically saying table it for now,
No,
or you're approving it?
approve it, but just start with the South Water Plant first, right? That's what he's suggesting. So do we have to take an action on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there
Yeah.
actually a question?
Well, yeah, because that's our plan, Cliff.
Okay.
It's a different plan that was already
It's a
approved.
different plan than what was approved.
It's amending the
Right.
original adopted, what you
So it
already
requires a
approved.
motion?
Yes.
Do we have language for how we want to amend?
A recommendation, I don't know if you want to use.
Make a motion to approve revision of the American Rescue Plan Act grant project with a supplement of not to exceed $35,330.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Councilmember Mark Brown. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong, how do you vote, ma'am? Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you.
Okay, item H, discuss and consider approving resolution 22-R-62 designated certain exempt city vehicles for the issuance of regular license plate and authorizing the city manager or designee to apply for such regular license plates.
Mayor Council has brought to my attention that we had
I believe there's public comment on this.
Oh. Public comment.
Oh, Lauren, was there?
Oh, no,
I'm
just
just
if
behind
you
the-
need any feedback from CCP.
She's behind the podium, I
Okay.
can't see, but she's the only one that said yes on it.
Okay.
I thought you'd mentioned.
Brought to my attention that we had an incorrect license plate on one of our vehicles. We did. It was the police chief's vehicle. So long story short, we got the new vehicles. We went down to, or the chief went down to the county tax assessor's office and, hey, these are the 3 new vehicles we've got. One unmarked PD car or truck, one SUV marked, and one city truck marked. They said, fill these out, sign here, check here, X here, da-da-da-da, off you go. Here's your new license plates. We came back, we found out last Wednesday or Thursday, that the plate, one of the plates was wrong, was issued wrong. We called down there, they said, no, you have the right plates. She called back maybe an hour or 2 hours later, said, hey, you're right, you do have the wrong plate on one of your vehicles, come back and get them, swap the plates out, and so on and so forth. But to utilize those second set of plates, it requires a resolution from the city that we can utilize basically exempt plates that are regular, that don't say the word exempt. So basically they look like everybody
Non-exempt
else's.
plates, but still get the exemption.
They're exempt plates that don't say exempt. That's basically what it is. So in researching this, the whole other set of issues came out: marked cars, unmarked cars, police department, fire department, who takes what home. We've gone into a whole different new direction. So basically, we would like this resolution to give myself or the chief the designation, that's both chiefs, fire chief and police chief, to run exempt plates if they need them. Two, I think what was kind of lost in the mix was the last two police chiefs here have run unmarked vehicles. Our current police chief had an unmarked vehicle and gave it up because he worked so much patrol. So it's not a new issue, it's all of a sudden new this week. But I think this has been lost in the mix that the chief went out and did this on his own. He did not. Every police chief we've had here, I believe, in history has run an unmarked car. So we're not asking for anything new or unusual. We just need the resolution. That said, I am almost positive we have a resolution from council already. Records here are, how should we say, less than standard.
Resolutions weren't sorted in the way that ordinances were prior to 2018.
Kansas had a song called Dust in the
Wind. I
Wind.
would have to go through.
So the previous police chiefs, my buddy's a police chief in Houston. He has an unmarked car, but he has an exempt plate on it. So are we asking for having an unmarked car with a regular plate?
That's what it's gonna be.
But
It's
so
still,
what is,
it's still an exempt plate.
It's
Just
an
looks
exempt
like a
plate.
non-exempt plate.
if you can run it and know it, if you're just a normal citizen, you don't know that,
Exactly.
correct?
Okay, so by
what is-
state law, you can't have the word exempt on an unmarked vehicle. I
Right.
didn't know that until it was brought to my attention, and then whenever I mentioned it, they were like, oh, I don't know if that's right, and then
Then we called.
yeah, and then they said, oh, no, that is right, so it was a big confusion. So anyways, what it boils down to, I'm assuming, is it just can't have the word exempt if it's unmarked.
There's actually three plates. There's exempt that don't say exempt, and then there's alias. And basically, any city, it is your right as a municipality, state government, local government, or county government to not pay registration on that vehicle. If you are paying registration on that vehicle, you're throwing money away. And many cities do it because there's a lot of obfuscation in the law. And the girl told us when we got the places, I was there, this is what we've done for all of Brazoria County since time began. And it was a pure accident, mix up. There was no anything. It was an accident. We fixed it in 2 hours and we're back on the road. So, but then the issue of marked or unmarked cars came up, and I just want to make perfectly clear. I was a chief for 13 years, almost 14 years, in a town smaller than this size and much bigger, and I had an unmarked car in all of them. I don't support it, don't care, don't either way, but I did authorize the chief to do it. That's on me, because I hold him responsible for the crime in this town, and if that's a tool he asked for, that's a tool he's gonna get. That's my 2 cents worth on it, so.
Well, that's the way it is with most police departments in the area. I mean, even back in the 70s, you had the cars that were unmarked. Now, if you have a city vehicle like the code enforcement car, and it's got an exempt plate on it, then you get in trouble for not having any identification on it, so.
And those were marked and unmarked. Right now, they're temporary tags made till the placards are made. The placards should be here today, tomorrow, sometime. Should be this week. Permanent. So we had quick ones put up, but we took them off at night. So it wasn't. They're all wrinkled. It wasn't driven. We did have the new public works truck. Was driven a few times without it. It has since had the tires punctured. It's no longer driving.
I make a motion to approve resolution 22-R-62 designating certain exempt city vehicles for the issuance of regular license plates and authorizing the city manager or designee to apply for such regular license plates.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Brown. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Councilmember Mike Johnson. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown, how do you vote?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion is carried. Okay.
I think
And
we
thank
all
you for getting
learned.
that taken care of so quickly, I think.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us know.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
I was gonna say, I didn't know either, so I
Especially when we
appreciate,
go down there in person.
I mean, I took the.
Well, they didn't know either.
They
right,
did,
yeah.
there we go.
Okay. Capital improvements, projects, updates. You again?
So, starting with the North Water Plant, you know, of course, the
This is a drum.
well construction is substantially complete. The well pump submittal, is acceptable, it's returned to the contractor. They will come in at a later date to install that pump. Ground storage tank, construction is complete. The coatings are supposed to start next week, and I think we're still on schedule to be done, by April. The booster pump station, they're currently reviewing shop drawing submittals. The contractor, since we do have a little time, is trying to hold out to see if TxDOT will come through on that permit for the drive. We're in month 6, waiting on a response from TxDOT. We can't get anything right now except for their backlog. We do have some time, one for the tank to get done, 2, there is some lag for the switchgear and some pump components just due to supply chain issues. Not that they can't get started and won't, but they're trying to use whatever time they have to see if we can get that response.
So on these delays, is there costs associated with the materials that we're gonna have to
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
possibly absorb?
None that I'm aware of. Of course, the street improvement, everything's substantially complete. We did the walkthrough on March 22nd. Closeout documents are currently in preparation. The DR project, the same thing, the sewer line rehabilitation is complete, everything's submitted. Those final documents will be sent to me for signature here shortly. The Walnut Drive water line replacement, or the regular CDBG, we anticipate start of construction on April 11th. Due to the type of pipe that was specified for this project is a Serta lock. It's just a locking bell, and it's gonna be pushed back to about the 3rd week of May. It's a production issue at this time. This doesn't cause any problems, it doesn't give us any grief that I'm aware of, no violations, we have time to complete it, it's just gonna push it back a little further. Stormwater master plan, phase 1 and 2 drainage improvements begin tomorrow. They're gonna start with the west ditch, the one that borders Glenwood Bayou and Audubon Woods 2. They're gonna start pulling out the riprap at 2004 and start there and work their way back. We did send out public notice regarding that. Trying to remind everybody, those easements, I know they're used by residents walking, riding bikes, stuff like that, to try to stay clear of those areas, especially while equipment's being used. We did receive the engineering report for the elevated storage tank. We got it today. Points out some back in May, let Morgan Ruiz with Strand go.
I'm still working on the server quote for the PD. I know you've seen this several times. I kind of have a little bit of explanation on this. The original quote was for $50,000. I have been around these and worked with these often enough to know that that was a Cadillac and we're looking for a Chevrolet. So we're working on downgrading that a little bit to what we need. We're pending CGIS approval and approval from Lake Jackson on this, but I believe we're down to about 16,000-ish on what we actually need, not what we want. So there's our ARPA funds right there, if we can say that much. We should know this week or next. Budget worksheets have gone out to staff, much to their chagrin. We are now in the budget process. Thank you, Trish and Cliff. We'll talk later about your budget. We're still working on the overbilling issue with AT&T. I've sent a letter out. I believe we're dangerously close to having to sit down with legal on this. We're at about an $85,000 overage from AT&T. I have emailed the account manager who was working with our service provider, and they've gone dark, which is normally what happens when there's pending litigation. At this point, I may sit down with Philip or Matt and send them a demand letter and start the process there. That's our kind of our formal shot over the bow. We've been nice. I am sure that prior to records, this is probably in the hundreds of thousands of overcharges for the city, but we have no way of backtracking that far back. So we went back to as far as records in this building are available, and we're at 85. So we can work out a resolution with.
But it's gotten up to 6,000.
Charging for a dead phone line, so we've stopped paying it, and we're. Several times too. Just want to let you know where we were. Hurricane meeting prep has been set for EOC staff on 4/26 at 3 p.m. Chief told us is that we're going to be busy this year during hurricane season. That's what he said. Cliff, that was in the weekly update. Report of an evaluation study next week or week after. At any rate, here, the 20th? 25th. On the 25th, it will basically tell us whether he comes back to work or he doesn't come back to work, or what level of disability he has at this point. So that will kind of draw to an end with that here quickly. The splash pad should be open later this week pending a public works inspection, and Cliff assured me that will be done by Friday this week. That's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Council members, any comments or reports? Mike Johnson?
I got a comment. I'd like to congratulate KRB for the award that they won, the grant that they won, and all the hard work there. And saw Kimberly out there Saturday working the garden with all her friends.
Lonely.
She was lonely. So anyway, great work. It's what an accomplishment. That's super fantastic. $110,000. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And I'd also like to appreciate, say I appreciate all the hard work done by staff here. Lots of stuff going on. It's all good. It's all good. We're going down the road. Appreciate it.
Okay. Melissa? Roy?
No, sir.
Okay. Mark?
I'd also like to congratulate KRB on that. I know that y'all put in a lot of work filling out all those applications and information for that. So great job doing that, and congratulations. Also like to recognize our first responders. Thank y'all for your efforts, and we appreciate y'all being out there in the streets, keeping us safe and responding whenever we need y'all. So thank y'all for that. And also city staff, great job, man. Y'all are doing great things, and we appreciate y'all's efforts. Thank y'all for doing that. And I think we have a couple of events that are coming up. We have the Easter egg hunt next Saturday. This Saturday. I'm sorry, this Saturday. So come on out. It'll be a good time.
It's back.
Yeah,
It's back.
I hope we didn't jinx it.
That's
Last
like
10
saying,
seconds to get there early.
I know.
that's like saying the Q word if you're in police, EMS, or fire.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Need to slow that.
Okay, there's nothing else from the council members. Mayor report, I have very little, other than the fact that this week is the telecommunications officers week. So, think about those folks that are sitting behind that console that are the lifeblood of the officers out on the street. And believe me, hearing a nice voice or hearing a voice over the air when you're in trouble and you got 4 or 5 people fixing to beat on you, it makes a difference. But that's a tough job for them. They can't control the situations out on the street, yet they are there experiencing it with the officer, and they can't be there with them. So please, if you see any of them or talk to or have any way to express it, please express your thanks for all their efforts this week. Eric broke in or talked a little bit about the hurricane season coming up. That was one of the things that I was going to discuss. And let's please be, anybody please be ready. One of the things that people forget to do is plan. And now's the time to be doing the planning. If you know any elderly folks in the city that we don't know about that are going to need help getting out, please let City Hall know. Or if they have special needs, please let City Hall know so we can get them on a list and make sure that we can help provide for them.
You have a list? I'm sorry.
I have a list, and
Okay,
then
awesome.
the county keeps me updated.
Right.
I mean, right now I'm getting weekly emails with updates, but,
Sorry to interrupt.
oh yeah.
Oh, that's okay. You can, they can call 211 and get put on the list, but there's a lot of folks that either don't know that or don't want to call. One of the things that I ask is that if we, as citizens, let's keep up with our elderly, especially the ones that are disabled, that have special needs. I know a few in the past that have been real happy to see a smiling face or hear somebody on the phone to talk to them, just to check on them. And I had the opportunity to do that with the fire department and with the EMS, and try to do that now. Although I'm getting in the elderly phase myself, so sometimes I can't remember who I am. So, but at any rate, please keep an eye out for them. If you know some, check on them, and if they need help, please let them know or let someone know. It's just that's how we've been the great community that we are, and we'll stay that way if we take care of all of us. Even if it's not the elderly, if it's any person with special needs. So with that, that's about all of the stuff I've got to talk about. Get your agenda items. We've got Mr. Abelos' property. We've got the waste connections and anything else that comes up.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
It may be a question, maybe it's just a question, see if it's a future agenda item. Trees leaning over the roads.
Trees leaning over the roads.
Especially in front of stop signs.
Huh?
Especially in front of stop signs.
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed on Walnut there's an oak tree that's leaning over the road, and believe it or not, one of my mom's cousins was killed by a falling tree while he was driving down the road. So this is I always worry when I drive underneath that tree on Walnut if that something's going to fall. And do we have an ordinance on that, or?
I don't know.
We don't. What I've done in the past, what's been common practice, is we generally do around a year under streets maintenance and repair to try to protect those thoroughfares from any low-hanging limbs. And that's how we do it.
Well, Walnut's heavily traveled. You take a look at that, but you'll see it's on the south side leaning to the north across Walnut.
I bet we can do that without an agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
If not, we'll bring it back as an agenda
We've
item.
addressed it with residents before by sending notices and requesting them. I mean, at some point it could be deemed a nuisance, because we've had issues with trucks getting through.
We can take action if it's in the best interest of public safety.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
that's how we
We do have.
justify our actions in doing so.
Anything else?
Just on the Waste Connections deal for the next future agenda item, if we can get the annual spends that we have with Waste Connections, and then, I don't know if we've reached out to AmeriWaste to get any kind of formal pricing. That way we can kind of know apples to apples comparisons. I pulled up Freeport's, agenda and their pricing that they gave Freeport that we can use as a baseline to see if that helps, but I think it's a fair statement to see if we can get pricing from them and see what they have to offer and the potential impact if we change.
I'll see what I can do.
And I'll send you the Freeport one.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of things is I would like to visit that ordinance, that's related to the fencing on commercial property. Like, I don't know if it has to be a future agenda item, but let's look at the impacts on commercial properties that don't have activities going on that could impact residents.
Right.
I did pull up the ordinance and look, and it does say it has to be on the front end and back all the way. So, if it is causing undue burden on a commercial property to fence all the way to the property line, maybe we should explore that and offer them some sort of
Relief.
something.
Yeah.
Some way to-
Just, that situation is unique, isn't it? Because the back part of the property is not city limits. But most of this side, the back part of the properties do abut to residential, so they would,
Yeah.
but we can definitely put in some sort of,
So I'd like to discuss that in the future, and then also, the impact of the wastewater into Bastrop Bayou and how that would impact our stormwater master plan, and how we can help to mitigate that, right? Is there actual zero impact, right? Because if we have somebody build up a lot, right, they have to have an engineering study that shows that they don't have any impact on the surrounding areas. Do we have some sort of path forward with these people adding volumes of water into waterway that could potentially backpack up on us?
Impact our drainage
Yeah,
based on rising water levels
Yeah.
in our drain basin.
because, I mean, we already dealt with the flooding once, I don't wanna have to have it compounded by a wastewater plant dumping a whole bunch of water into the place that's supposed to be relieving us of the flood water.
I think too, a good question would be, I don't know specifically, but, is Bastrop Bayou, even though we've got city, we own, or we have jurisdiction up to Bastrop Bayou, is that something that we could regulate within the city? That, as far as,
Upstream?
yeah, water that's being dumped in it, and this adds a whole new dynamic to it. I mean, yes, we can tell TCQ what we don't like and what we do like, and we can tell the county what we don't like and what we do like, but it's a body of water, and it's the water of the state, and ultimately, whatever they decide, is gonna happen.
I think with the issuance of the new FEMA map that shows a good part of our neighborhood now in floodplain, and you're talking about, this wastewater plant, and if it floods, it's gonna be flooding from up there down this way.
Right.
So if it's gonna break out, any waste that they have is gonna flood, is gonna come straight to us, it's gonna come straight to my neighborhood.
Yeah, it's just a thought to,
So I
if
think we should have a voice.
yeah, but when we get to this, get it on the agenda, it's just a thought to kind of bring a thought process in there to see what we need to do to help our cause. Okay, if there's nothing else, We are adjourned at 8:27 p.m.
That's the first time we've had it.
With my elderly friends. How are you doing, Mr. Boyd?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good. I was talking to Michael, he left. So after